because these guys gave me a chance, and I was really very appreciative of that. And in different classes, I think I've always had at least one senior. I don't know that I've ever had a team that didn't have a senior, but it's still emotional. It's draining. It's you think back to so many good times, some bad times. You think of those too, but it's the toughest day of the year for me because it's usually a big game, usually a rival, even in the Big 8, Big 12 at the end. You realize, or I realize, that the last time that I'm going to coach those kids in a home game, and that's emotional for me. So far in my career, I've never had any seniors I was glad to see leave. So that's good. I wasn't glad to get rid of any of them. But yeah, it's the toughest day of the year for me because of all the emotions and the emotions that they have, the emotions that their families have. And I remember when Scott was a senior, and we're playing at Iowa State, and so I flew back here. We practiced, and I flew back here for the game, and then flew back out there because we played on Sunday, and it was the only way that it worked out. And it was emotional for me as a parent, because it's different stages in your kids' lives. And but for me, I have an emotional attachment to them, and I think that hope, I guess, but I do think that most of them will say that it wasn't just about winning with me.
When you say your first one at Kansas, do you mean your first seniors or your first 4 of your seniors?
The first year I coached, there was some seniors that the year before they were left that gave me a chance the first day. This no-name guy, and that I wasn't even big name in my own house, much less anywhere else. But they gave me a chance, and we had some really emotional ones there. And we one year went out, and the crowd threw roses all over the court because it was such a fantastic senior class that had really accomplished a lot. So, yeah, they've always been pretty emotional.
You say that is the toughest day, tougher even than maybe the most years when you lose in the tournament, or is that all, you view that kind of as the bonus time you get with
Well, when you lose in the tournament, the toughest thing is what do you say to the kids and the finality and how quickly it is. That's the toughest part. You'll always have those memories, but generally speaking, kids really enjoy where they're in school, enjoy playing in their home arena, enjoy running out of the tunnel. I've heard Eric Montross to Antoine Jameson to Tyler Hansbrough talking about running out of that tunnel, and that's the last time that they're going to be able to do that. And Tyler would give a lot of money to do it again, and I know that because I just talked to him this last week. But that's the different part. Losing the last game is always difficult because you don't have any do-over. There's no mulligans, and but that's a different thing.
When you have kids that may go pro after 1 year or 3 years, whenever, it might be their last home game too. Have you ever thought much about, hey, is it worth ever addressing that? Or usually these kids haven't announced it at that time. How do you look at that?
I just don't look at it. We're playing, and if they decide that that's good for them and that's what they want to do, then I'm supportive of it. Michael Jordan one time said one of the biggest regrets he had was not giving his senior speech. And I didn't know if it was, and I know at that time it was at the basketball banquet. So you have those thoughts, but whatever their dreams and goals are, I'm okay with. But the ones that we're honoring, we know this is their last. And Kansas had a kid last year decided he was leaving, and then all of a sudden in August decided he was coming back. So I've never thought of trying to get somebody to say, okay, well, what are you going to do? I want them to be focused on today and not just what's down the road. You've heard me say that. Don't just be looking down the road at what might be down there. You'll be going home.
How do you put into words what Luke May has mentioned his growth over the last 4 years and his whole story? What do you think about it?
Well, it is hard. Everybody still says the walk-on, but come on, he wasn't really a walk-on. He agreed to come, and Mom and Dad were going to pay, but he had other scholarship offers, and he handles it really well because those people had done a nice job recruiting him, but he wanted to be a Tar Heel, and I was very fortunate, and I knew that, and tried to tell him how badly we wanted him, and so that part makes it look like he's come from nowhere. But he could have gone to Davidson. He could have gone to probably Clemson, Virginia, Notre Dame. He had some good offers. He was just a North Carolina guy. But once you get past that, the thing that I'll remember for the rest of my life, which I hope is more than a couple of weeks, is how far the kid came, how hard he worked. That desire and that determination, the belief in himself. I really appreciate that part, that it wasn't a lark. He didn't just work. He knew that if he did it the way he wanted to, that he'd get a chance. I take a lot of pride in the fact that he knew that I would give him a chance if he deserved it and got to that level. So the more of it is admiration, or just I was proud of him about what he's accomplished. Because when you're talking about basketball players, did they reach their potential? That's one of the things as a coach that did you help them reach their potential. I use Wes Miller as an example. Wes Miller got the most out of his potential of any player I've ever coached. And Luke May's in that discussion. And so I hope that he's really proud of that, because I'm really proud of that for him, that he's played at such a high level against such a high level. That's what I'll think about. I'll think about the smile and the great kid and all that kind of thing, but just proud and know that deep down inside he's got to be pretty proud too.
From your perspective, was there any moment that changed the trajectory of his career here where you could see he said, I can really do this, or was he always filled with the belief that he could be an impact guy like he is?
His freshman year, we played him sometimes. Probably 6 or 7 minutes a game or something like that. I really don't remember. But I kept saying, I think he's going to be good. And I think that at that point I felt that maybe more than anybody else on my staff did. But if I had to pick any moment, what you're talking about, I would say the regional, where he played great against Butler and then was big time against Kentucky and made that last shot there. That was a giant leap, no question about that. That was the one that I think even gave him more confidence. I think he had the confidence, but I think it was one of those told you so moments for him. I showed you, that kind of thing.
He doesn't really say too much to us generally, but after the Duke game, he got going on how people never thought he could play here, and people still tell him he's not good enough. I mean, do you feel like that stuff still fuels him? Does he still play off that in practice?
Not in practice, but I think it fuels him. But I think, he came to games here a couple of times, 4 or 5, who knows how many. And I remember standing in the hallway out there on the other side and telling him and his dad, don't be in a rush. Don't be in a rush. And I remember pulling Mark over the side. I said, please, don't be in a rush. He's got a chance. I really believe he has a chance. And this was like his sophomore or junior year. And I really believe that. And so I think that he used it as motivation at that time and probably use it as motivation now. But, if it'll make him have 20 rebounds Saturday, I hope he uses it as motivation again between now and Saturday.
I mean, when you see a kid at that age, sophomore, junior, what do you see in his game that gave you the idea that he might be good enough?
What I thought when I saw him in camp was what drove it more than anything. He had really good hands. He could shoot the basketball. Everything you asked him to do, he tried to do. So he's going to be coachable. He's going to be big. Had great hands and he could shoot. So those kind of guys can play. And I don't know where, what level, or how they're going to fit in, but those guys will figure out a way to play. And again, I can remember very plainly, just like it was last night, saying something to Mark. I turned around and Luke was talking to somebody else. I said, I'm serious. I think he's going to have a chance. And then, needless to say, fortunately worked out that his chances turned into a pretty good deal.
Or in preseason before his junior year, when you talk between your staff and so forth, what did you expect? Did you have any idea? Did you expect him to break out like that?
And this is just, we're straightforward. I had one coach say, Coach, you like Luke a lot more than everybody else does. I said, that's right, and I'm the freaking head coach. And that makes a difference. And it does. I mean, that's just being truthful. But when a young man sits in my office and says, "Coach, I'm going to show you, nobody's going to outwork me." I remember that moment. I can take you up there and tell you which chair he was sitting in and which chair I was sitting in. So I like those moments too.
Coach, as you get ready to start game plan for Duke, you're game planning for a team, with or without Zion, but it's different than when you were a couple weeks ago. How do you gear up for that? And again, it's Duke, Carolina. I mean, you've been a part of a few of these. Is that, yet ever lessen the height of it, I guess?
You don't have to do a lot. I mean, I'm push a lot of our games, because us focus, us do this. But it's Duke, North Carolina, so a lot of that takes care of itself. We prepared before we went over there to be playing against Duke's full team, including Zion, and who had been having as phenomenal year as any freshman I've ever seen. And we're still preparing like Zion's going to play. And at the same time, they're going to make that decision, so we have no say over it. So, why worry about that part of it? We're going to try to prepare to play Duke University. And ever who's got that uniform on, we're going to give a scouting report. We're going to give a scouting report, Zion in it. And if he doesn't play, that's their decision. And, they're not in the easiest spot in the world. If I remember right, in 2009, I know we held Ty Lawson out of the ACC tournament. And I know we held Ty Lawson out of the first round of the NCAA tournament. And I think we held Ty Lawson out of the last. Did he play the last
He
home
got
game?
hurt 2 days before we played Duke to finish the regular season.
Okay, so he played then, and we held him out of the whole ACC tournament, and against Radford in the NCAA tournament. And it's part of coaching. It's part of what you do. Now, Zion was having an incredible year, but Ty Lawson was pretty daggone important to us too. But it's what you do, and the other guys. I told Tyler Hansbrough and Wayne Ellington, those guys, y'all got to make up for it. Well, I'm sure they've got some pretty good players over there that they've got to be. I'm sure they're telling them the same thing. But we'll try to prepare for him being in the game, and if he's not, he's not. If he is, he is.
Coach, throughout the years, your seniors have always changed you.